So nobody learned anything yesterday, right? Because if you didn't get an aha, that means you didn't learn anything, and I didn't do a good job, and I'm not willing to believe that.
I wasn't here yesterday, but I'm going to go back and watch it again so I can learn from yesterday.
Awesome. Michelle, you didn't learn anything?
Yes, I did. I'm just
What'd you
quiet. Well, I went on and I finished up my profile, put my pictures in. I did the 10 names in the list. Yes, so I did work on it yesterday.
And what you found that doing this thing aren't overly complicated, just putting that data in there, right?
Right, yeah. So still haven't figured out how to get all of my contacts over at one time, but you know, I started with your form and did it that way.
Fantastic, right? Remember what we talked about yesterday, so we're not going to master everything in one day. It takes a little bit of time. However, you've got support, right? So the process is doing some of it so you understand how to do it. And the other part is the heavy lifting is getting people, right? Reaching out to the people that can help you, right? In the meantime. So I still need one more. Now, Alexander, you're in the middle of my page and you spoke quite a bit yesterday, so I'm going to go to you.
I also hopped off early yesterday, and so I missed the Facebook birthday thing, but
Well, it's good because Terry already claimed that one, so you can't use that anyways.
I know, but now I have to go back and watch the video to figure that out.
Alex, he actually had 2 videos. So
Oh, okay.
he sent us a handout.
I don't have to look for that. I didn't see it come through.
Hey, David, I have a question about something from yesterday.
Sure.
So with the SA Contacts Lite,
Mhm.
I'm trying to filter that out. How would you do that? Because I downloaded the app and then it automatically transfers your contacts into like a certain.
Right. So you're going to bring it in. What I typically do is I bring that into I bring that into my Google Drive.
Okay.
Right. I'll open up. It'll use as like a zip extractor. You can tell it to open up in Google Sheets, right? And then you can organize it, filter it, and delete whatever data you want out of the Google Sheet.
Okay.
All right. So guys, this is it, right? So we're pulling you guys, right? I want to make sure that you guys are hearing and taking action. I know so there were some people who weren't on the call yesterday. So those of you, thank you for joining us on day 2. But let's talk, right? Nobody needs to hear Dave for 90 minutes. That's boring, right? Dave is boring. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into it today. Okay, and we're going to talk about contacts and smart plans. And to me, this is one of the most important things because this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time, right? When you're building a business, right? I didn't do this yesterday. I normally do this. I said, look, I don't know if you thought about it this way. Some of you have been in the business a little bit while, some of you are relatively new to the business. But I want to congratulate you for becoming business owners, right? If you're new to KW or you're new to real estate or you've been with real estate, this whole concept might be new to you. This isn't a job. This isn't a job, right? You're a business owner. So the work that you put into your day-to-day is building your business, right? We're in partnership with you. We give you a lot of resources and tools to utilize in your business, which helps you keep costs down, right? That's the great thing about being with a company like or an organization like KW is that you don't have to be a brokerage, right? We help you provide, insurance. We provide you a roof and a shelter. We provide you a technology platform. We provide you infinite amounts of training. We show you how to scale and build your business, all while you being out in front of it, not us being out in front of it. So the success that you have, the success that you want to have, and the goals that you do set for yourself, they're yours, right? And they matter, right? So don't think of this as a job where I got to get up and go to work. Business owners. And I every time I've been doing this for 16 years, I've been coaching for the better part of 4 or 5. And when I say that, a lot of people still don't think about it that way. So if you haven't, I challenge you to change your mindset and recognize that you're in complete control over what happens with your production in your business. There's other undue factors, right? The market has a play in how well we do. But if you follow the systems and models and tools, and for whatever reason, I don't have a copy with me right now, but that red book, But have you guys all read the MREA?
I have-
It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller and Dave Jenks. Okay, literally wrote the book on real estate. And it doesn't matter if it's with KW or not. Most, if not all, successful realtors have read this book. Now, I always love to do this, and the team leaders call me sometimes. If you don't have a copy of the Red Book, it's literally called the Red Book. Go tell your team leader that David Donaldson, the Regional Director of Growth and Technology, said you need a copy. They probably have one in their office. They probably have one in the closet. Mark Centers usually have these things falling all over the place. Get yourself a copy. Read it. Highlight it. Earmark it. Read it again. Read it again and read it again. Literally is the manual to running a successful real estate business. Okay. And everything that we coach to, especially the technology component, is based off of running your business around that book. All right. Has anybody on here read the book yet? All right, there's it. Terry saying kind of, sort of, maybe.
I just got it in the mail yesterday.
Just got it in the mail yesterday. Awesome.
I read it.
Read it again and read it again. I probably read it 7 times. And that's honestly not enough. I actually just got myself a teacher's edition, which is kind of divvied up by tabs so I can organize it a little bit better. Everything we're going to talk about, I'm going to share the lead generation model here with you. There's lead generation, there's finance, right? There's team, there's leverage. All of that is in there. And it all has a place in your world. And even though it was written a little while ago, it still applies today. Fundamentally, it all applies today. So let's go ahead, let's jump in today and let's kind of, I'm going to share my screen. Share screen 2. Second. Actually, before I jump in, I want to ask, did anybody have any questions from anything else that you saw today or I saw yesterday or that I sent out to you guys? Nope. Okay. As always, we are recording. This will be posted on our YouTube channel. You can always, we'll send you the link, right? And you can always look it up on YouTube. Our region, KW, the Virginia's Region 12 is our YouTube channel. I record every single session. You'll see three years worth of these separated by month. All right. Yeah. Screen, there we go. 2, go. I love starting off on this slide deck. Okay. And what you see here on this first slide is the model, is the lead generation model. All right. And it's the lead generation model overlaid, okay, with command. So what, everybody see this slide okay? Seeing the screen? So if you think about what you do in your business, you lead generate. Your number one job is lead generation. Is that factual? Does that make sense? You got to feed the funnel, right? So how do you do that? Well, you prospect and you market. You prospect and you market. Prospect and you market. You keep adding people to the top of the funnel. And so that's what you see right there at the top. Now, these little things inside it, those are all the things inside of command that makes your life easier through leverage and technology to keep doing these things, wash, rinse, and repeat, right? Campaigns, which we're going to touch in tomorrow, right? Pay-per-click advertising, emails, direct mail, social media posts, newsletters. Those are campaigns because we send them out to a target audience, okay? Insights, sharing information, which we're going to touch a little bit today around smart plans, with consumers that live in a certain area, keeping them abreast of what's going on in their area, what's for sale, what's sold, right? What's the average price point, square foot? That's important. Designs, how do we communicate, right? What do we do with our listings? We create flyers, we create social media posts, we create emails, we print things off, we have a website, we have a consumer website. All those things happen, right? And as we touched on yesterday, the importance of referrals across the country. That's all at the top end, just pouring into this, right? Trickles down into leads and contacts. We're going to find that a little bit better for you here in a bit, but leads are basically, if I ask a lead, and just for the sake of time, I'm not going to question everybody, but if I question people, typically they tell me a lead, right? It's somebody that's going to buy something from them, right? Somebody has an opportunity to buy, sell, or invest and utilize me as a realtor. That might be a lead in your mind, okay? I challenge that. And I want you to think a little differently. Just to understand terminology in the system. A lead, at its simplest terms, is somebody you have not met. Right? It might be a one-way conversation. You might have reached out to them, but you didn't connect with them. Or they may have reached out to you, but you didn't connect with them. Or somebody might have introduced you or given you their information, but yet you have not had a conversation with them. That is a lead. Okay? The contact is somebody you've had a conversation with, substantive conversation. They know you're a realtor, you know their consumer, and you might essentially know what they're looking to do, although you're not under contract with them in any way to do anything. That's the lead in a contact. That's how I define things. And I think if you look at those things, it gets a little bit easier as you utilize for clarity, right? So you track leads, you track contacts, and you communicate with them. And you're basically just moving them forward so they hit your whiteboard or they become an opportunity, right? Which is your digital whiteboard, which we'll touch on tomorrow, Thursday. Okay. You communicate with the contacts through smart plans, right? So therefore, you're cultivating that relationship. You met them in an open house, you met them in line at the grocery store, you met them through somebody you know. You've got to establish a rapport, a relationship. And that's calls, emails, texts, meetings, coffees, right? Trainings, right? New home construction training, first-time buyer training, right? Military assistance training, right? Introducing them to lenders. You're building a rapport. You're coming from a position of value to help them achieve their goal. Educating them on the market, right? Tell your consumers to stop watching the news because the news doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, right? That's a true statement, right? I hate the news. I threw my shoe at my television Sunday morning because they love to say that they don't understand numbers. They don't understand that just because interest rates gone up, there's too many other things in play. There's not enough new home construction. There's pent-up buyer demand. Interest rates that people achieved or bought over the last couple of years are keeping people in their houses longer. There's not enough inventory or supply. So don't tell me because interest rates have gone up that there's going to be a bust. I was around the bust in 07 and 08, so I got my license. This is not that. However, doesn't mean it's not hard on you, the real estate agent. You still have to earn a living. You still got to make a living. You got to work harder to find sellers and buyers and win those deals for them. That's true. Right? The days of sticking a sign in the ground or attracting people or making things easy, no, that's not the case. So you've got it difficult on both sides. You got to fight for the listings and you got to fight for your buyers to win because we're seeing multiple offers in a lot of places again, right? You guys experiencing that? Multiple offers are back again. 30 people through open houses are back again. So if you waited, your consumers waited because rates were high, it just got a lot more complicated. That's education. Rates are high, maybe less people to fight against. You can refinance. Right? Rates has come down a little bit. Now there's multiple people, so you're paying more, but the prices are starting to spike again. This is your internal education. How are you communicating, updating your people, your consumers? How are you running your business? Okay. So you cultivate that relationship through opportunities. And then they become, right, to my pipeline. I have an appointment with them. They become an active listing or an active buyer. Okay. Then they're under contract, then we close. Then you see the arrow takes us all the way back up again. Right? Because remember, yesterday we talked about 8812. Who remembers what 8812 is? We should get t-shirts made. 8812. What's 8812? We're going to do this. I could do this too, Michelle. 8812. 88% of the people say that they will work with a realtor again at the closing table. 12% actually do. 8812. And you want to be one of the 12, right? You need to harvest those relationships. They close a transaction. Don't be transactional based. Be relationship based. Stay in touch with them, right? Because the 5 Ds happen: death, divorce, deployment, downsizing. There's one other that I always forget. Stay in touch with your people or they will forget you. In order to get repeat, wash, rinse, repeat business, be a generational realtor, right? Is that you have to be in the mindset of your consumer every time they hear the word real estate. And if you don't communicate with them on a regular basis, you won't be. And then when you do get around to calling them, you're going to find out a hard life lesson. They went and did something. And if you haven't been in the business long enough, this is going to happen to you whether you do it right or not. Right? I see Deb saying, yep. And I'm speaking from experience here, guys, because it's happened to me more times than I count. Right? And don't go and unfriend them on Facebook. Don't tear them a new one. Right? Ask yourself, what did you do wrong, if anything? And I will challenge you to say that it probably comes down to that you weren't deliberate and purposeful in your relationship around your business. We did that magic word that I talked about yesterday, which is assume. Right? You assumed that your friends would work with you. You assumed that your brother or sister-in-law, family member are going to work with you. You assume you lose. And sometimes the relationships that you have, you almost have to work harder to maintain those relationships at the front of it because you're afraid to have those deliberate conversations around real estate. But if you're in a relationship, you come from purpose. And when you talk to them, talk about them. They'll ask you about real estate, but don't be afraid to not talk about real estate either. All right, so that's my pedestal. It's my speech. I just have to drive these things home with you guys, okay? It's important. So I love this map. I love this little lead funnel. I'll give that to you. But if you just kind of print this off, put it on your desk and realize this is how you run your business. Does this make sense? Like, is this your workflow? If not, should this be your workflow? Right? Filling the funnel, creating leads, and then staying in touch with them, wash, rinse, and repeat. It's kind of a simple business when you think about it that way. It's complicated as we make it complicated. Advocates in your world, right? Numbers say that roughly you can manage relationships with 150 to 300 people. That means like they know who you are, you know who they are, and you can manage them in frame of mind. Now, we know a lot more people now. Facebook shows us, but who's got more than 1,500 friends on Facebook, right? A lot of you. Doesn't mean you're in a relationship with all those people. You're not. But Facebook allows you to communicate with them at a higher level, and it is a database to that capacity. But if you look at the screen, right, and if you're a Buffini person or not, then just kind of think of these as like A's, B's, and C's as far as your relationships go. You've got 50 people here, 50 people there. That might be your A pluses, A's, and A minuses, which means that those people, that 150 people, will fight for you to be successful. They are your advocates, right? Every time they hear the word real estate or somebody needs to do something, they're recommending you. So you have 50 people, 100 people, 150 people in your world that think of you that way. If you don't, what are you going to do to get there? Just having you under context in a database doesn't do anything if you don't do anything with it. Think about it. For those that have been in the business a while, remember your first website. You got all excited. I got a website. Make it rain. Where are my leads? Doesn't work that way, does it? That doesn't work. A website is an online business card. SEO is out the window because you can't afford to keep up with SEO, right? That magic, no such thing. It's a relationship business, people. Who are you in relationship with? And are you tracking that, right? So let's come down to tagging, okay? So think about who's in your centric circles here. Now, I mentioned 150 to 300 people. Some of you business been in business a while, some of you come from other businesses. Think about, here's the true numbers. If I have 150 people that are your ride or die, I'm not talking about leads, I'm not talking about contacts. I'm talking about people that you're in a relationship with. You have 150 of them, 300 of them, 6 to 10%. 6 to 10% does business every year. Buy, sell, invest, or refer. Right? So if you had 150 to 300 people in your world that were your advocates, what would your world look like? Do you do 12 to 20 deals a year now? Do you do 20 to 30 deals now? How hard is it to get there and maintain? If you have that kind of business, you're in the top 10% of all realtors, whether you realize it or not. But the average realtor does between 4 and 6 deals a year. So if you do more than that, you're already above average. Congratulations. But are you doing 10, 15, 20, 30 deals a year? What does that look like if you did? Think about how easy that would be if you had those type of people in the real world sharing your mobile app, talking to your consumers, referring people to you because you've built a culture to do that. Here's the numbers, okay? I talk about 200 because 200 is the breaking point. When we typically survey realtors, we say, how much money you want to make in real estate? The number that most times they say is $100,000. I want to make $100,000. That's GCI, that's gross commission. I want to make $100,000 in real estate. Here's what we know, because we can track it. Those associates that have 201 contacts or more that are relationship-based inside of Command, okay, do $119,000 a year. Do you do $119,000 a year? Are you a secret agent? Don't be James Bond, right? People need to know who you are, right? You got to be out front of it. You got to be in relationship. You have 201 contacts that you're in relationship with, your business will grow. And notice the hockey stick growth from there. Now look, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, those aren't manageable relationships, right? Those are people with teams that people have grown their business, they're scalable and have systems that function at a high level above and beyond the relationship base, explosive growth, okay? Those that are below, look at how low the numbers start to go. Too many people don't have contacts and they're reactionary, functionary of price point. A lot of people are in different parts of Virginia, okay, Northern Virginia especially, and they've heard me say this, I'm not gonna embarrass them. There's a lot of lazy real estate agents out there. Because if they do 1, 2, or 3 deals a year, they make decent money and they're okay with that. I'm not okay with it. I'm a business owner, so I want more, and I want more for you. This is a big thing. Think about where you are on this graph, right? Think about the number of contacts you have in your world in Command, or the contacts you have in your world that could be in Command, that you can systematize your communication with them. Does this jump off for you guys? You feel this? You see where we're coming from here? Do you have those people in your world? Do you know 50 people that will fight for you? Do you know 100 people that will fight for you? How are you keeping them to be in your army? Okay. Just a couple additional numbers before we dive into some of the how-tos, right? If you have 201 more contacts, you are 3 times more likely to be a capper in your market center. Caps are all over the map, different prices, different locations, right? But you are more likely, 3 times more likely to be a capper if you have 201 relationships. You will average 8 listings per year if you have 201 or more contacts, relationships, okay? Would you like to have 8 listings? Do you do 8 listings a year now? A lot of people don't. Okay. Let's define these things a little bit more detail, and we'll apply these to Command, okay? A lead, as I told you, a lead to me is just basic information for somebody. Right. Those of you that like me, that are a little older, that may have took your SAT scores in the 70s, 80s, or even early 90s, remember you would write your name on it, you would get 200 points on your SAT. You remember that? I don't think it's quite the same anymore, but that's what they would tell us. Get your name right, you get 200 points. Well, in Command, we like to gamify things a little bit for you, okay? So I call a lead anybody that you have their name, their phone number, and their email address. You get 60 points inside of Command, they call that health score. Right, 20 points each, 60% health score. That's basic fundamental information that you should have about everybody that you're in contact with if you're going to put them into your database, okay? You should have their name, their email, phone number, just as basic level information so you can start communicating with them, right? Then they become a contact. Remember at the beginning of the funnel, I had leads and contacts? Lead is that basic information, that one-way conversation. Contact, what additional information do I know about you to develop our relationship, right? Do I have your home address? How would I get your home address? How would you get somebody's home address?
The day they bought their house, probably.
But where would you get that? What if I didn't sell them the house?
You go to the tax record and they write MLS.
That's one way. What's another way?
Whitepages.com.
Whitepages.com. What's another way? You have a conversation with
Just
them.
ask them.
You ask them, right? Thank you. See, everybody likes to overcomplicate these things. Have a conversation with people, right? The phone is your most important asset. Those silver bullet, no applications, don't hide behind technology. pick up the phone, have a call, have a coffee, have a meeting, and learn things about people and get face to face. That's the relationship side of this. And many people want to hide behind data and harvesting data. That talk to people. That talk to people, right? So you get their address. Their address helps you out because we're going to do some smart plans around that, okay? Maybe you connect with them on social media, right? Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. We'll see if TikTok sticks around. The government's trying to shut it down. We'll see what happens, right? If you don't have Facebook, you're missing out. It's a database. Get the right mindset around that. It's a database. We touched on this yesterday. People share gobs of information socially. Harvest that data and leverage that information, okay? Having their birthday, know when to call them or put a card in the mail, right? That's important. That'll separate you from the pack, right? Tags is organizational structure. How do I know this person and how do they apply in my database? Simple stuff. Did they buy or sell from me previously? Are they a client? Okay. Are they a vendor? Are they an agent? Are they an agent with KW? Well, we touched on these things yesterday. Who are they in my world? Where did they come from? How did I meet them? Are they from college? Are they from high school? Did I graduate with them? Did I work with them? Right? Are they referred to me by somebody else in my world? Do I know them from church? Do I have kids? My kids are the best marketing machines there are, right? I know them from hockey, soccer, little league, baseball, church, PTA. How do you know the people that are in your world? Because you can strategically market based off of that relationship. Are you organized in such a way so you can do that? We're going to talk to that. And then you get into a relationship with somebody, right? Are they branded to you? Do they have your mobile number? That's what I'm talking about here, right? Michelle said she shared a mobile app with 10 people yesterday. Share your mobile app with 10 people every single day. We'll show you how to do that today, right? And then stay in touch with them. Well, here's the automation play. Facebook, or a Facebook birthday. If I know their birthday, Command will tell me to call them. That's automation. Just that simple. If I have their birthday, Command tells them to put a card in there, right? If I know their address, or maybe I know where they grew up or where they want to retire, I can send them basic information of activity going on in a particular area outside of my MLS area. You can do that, right? California, Mexico, Canada, there's countries worldwide. I can share that data with them because I get to keep them in front of them, okay? Call plans, right? To be in a relationship with somebody, I need to call them 4 times a year. 4. Some people you might call more than that. But if you call it everybody that were your advocates 4 times a year, they know you care. You don't have to talk to them 4 times a year. You got to call them 4 times a year. And by call, I mean call and leave a message. Don't call and hang up and hope that they don't answer. I know who some of you people are, scared to death of the phones. You got to call. Oh, right, I'm going to hang up. They're busy. You know I'm talking to you, right? I can see you smiling. I know who it is. I'm that guy too. I hate cold calling. So focus on your sphere. Facebook, I mirror Facebook, and I'll talk that if we have time, that I mirror Facebook functionality with my Command functionality from a communication standpoint. So I can target my base that way. Custom fields. Inside of Command, you can build custom questions. Does the consumer own or lease their house? Do you know that about everybody in your database? Should you know that about everybody in your database? I'm asking, should you know that about everybody in your database?
Yes.
Yeah. How would you know that?
By tagging them, renter,
Well, but how would you know?
ask them.
There you go. You're learning. You got to have a conversation with them, right? All right. Pie choice, candy bar, sports teams. You know things about people, right? What pie choice for me? Because I give pies on Thanksgiving, right? So anybody that bought, sold, or invested with me or referred to me, I give them a pie. So I check what their favorite pie choice is, right? If you're a Buffini person, you understand the Popeye mentality around relationship-based business. I'll tell you all that. I like Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats, right? So if Halloween comes around and you knew that about me and you put a Kit Kat in my inbox, my mailbox, right? That's a touch, right? If you knew that what my sports teams were, I'm an Eagles fan, I'm a Sixers fan, I'm a Flyers fan, and you knew that they were coming to town and you had extra tickets, right? And you filtered your database because you had tickets to give away or do a raffle for, or maybe you rented a suite, right? And you invited people because you knew things about them. right? If they went to Liberty University, or they went to Richmond and you had tickets for the Spiders, you had tickets for the hockey team, right? Or if they're a Mountaineer and you got tickets for WVU, right? What would that look like? You learn these things and track these things in your database. And then again, I bring this back home, just do they have your mobile app that's branded to you? All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and jump into command now. I'm gonna show you how to do some of these things, but before I do, I just kind of want to feel, how does that make you feel when you think about organizing and capturing that data? What does that mean to you? Like, are you doing this now? No. Well, thank you for being honest. Would you like to be able to track that information if you did know some of that information? You guys just aren't going to talk today, are you? You're one of the most quietest groups I've ever had. And for those of you that your cameras are off, doesn't mean I won't call on you. Jessica, Jen, Sherrod, Tiger, Tony, Michelle, Amber, Brian, Melissa. All right. So go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump into command then. Let's talk about some of these things, okay? All right. So we talked yesterday about the importance of contacts, and we talked today about the importance of contacts. Just want to drive home that there's some importance around having contacts, in case that's lost on you, right? And the information that you have for everyone. So first and foremost, I think you need to know how to have a contact and where does these things take place, okay? So if you click on your upper right-hand side, your drop-down name there, and go to settings, all right? Like you guys go ahead and do that. Okay, because before you put information in your database, I want you to understand how you're going to track and organize that information. Okay, my screen needs coffee. Hold on. Okay. So underneath settings, come to the left, go under contact or command settings, go to contacts. Okay, and what you're going to see there are contact tags. Everybody see contact tags. You see it on your screen. Okay. This is where you're going to build your tags. Now, KW is giving you some tags to start from. Okay. You'll see buyer, you see seller, you see bought, you see sold, you see agent, you see vendor. They're in white. You guys all see those? And they say that they're system tags. And these are provided for you. That's straightforward, right? You said don't recreate the wheel. They're already there for you. You don't need to create a buyer's tag. Tag everybody in your system that's bought, sold, or is a buyer or a seller. That's what we're asking you to do. You can track that. Okay. Now, I have a lot of other things in there. Like I have A's, B's, and C's in there. Right. I track people by where they've come from. Right. I have hockey tags. Right. That's my program. That's the kids' high school. And that's a general hockey tag. That's kind of a catch-all. Okay. I have IUP, which is where I went to college, right? So I'm just giving you some examples, right?
The tags you create, they don't stay in the system, do they?
What do you mean they don't stay in the system?
Like the same way you have the tags that you created, will somebody else be able to use those same tags?
No, they're unique to you. To your tags, right? So everybody has the system, right? So that this created by, right? I showed you the system tags, which are yours, KW, or that KW provides, right? And then anything else that's stamped by your name are yours, right? The only lack of control per se is that where you don't get to create tags if you're on a team, the teams create their own tags that they want people to use. Agents on teams can't create a tagging system, so you have to go talk to your team and say, hey, I would like such and such a tag. I don't want you to muck up the database. Other than that, no, these tags not for the general public. But I'll be honest with you, why would it matter if they weren't? Like I would love to be able to share with you guys my tagging system, right? I'm not hiding anything. My tags are my tags. They're mean to me, so there's some uniqueness to it. But if I told you, hey, I called it college instead of IUP, or I called it previous employer instead of Hilton, right? Or if I called it high school versus Jenkintown, or JHS, right? Or I call it fraternal instead of Kappa Sigma. It's general, right? think about where they come from. So really what I want you to do, I want you to do it right now is I want you to build a couple of tags. I want you to take a couple of seconds and build a couple of tags that you want in your world that are specific and unique to you. Right? And if you're not sure of any, I just gave you a couple to use, right? Call it high school, call it college, call it fraternal, the name of your previous employer, whatever that is, create one. I used to work for Hilton. Okay. Give it a color. Don't use the clear color. Use a color, this first blue color. That's the system tag. So I always like to say use something else. Just give it a name, give it a color, and hit create. Oh, see, I already had Hilton. See, oh, it's him. I've kind of thought all this through. Right. So create tags. It's a very simple concept, right? We're going to add them to people in your database. I'm going to show you how to do that, but you got to build them first. Right. And what I typically tell people is, look, pencil it all out. I'm teaching in the class, but pencil it all out. What do you need to have? But what do people have in common with me? What do people common across my database? And build these tags up. That's simple to do, right?
Hey,
But you
David,
got- yeah, go ahead.
is there a way that you can print, like, so that you can have a PDF next to you as you're learning your tags? Kind of like a guide so that when you're putting clients in, that you can reference back to that without
I
click,
wish there
click, click,
were.
click.
I wish there were, right? I said, I wish there were. Right now, that is not. So that's kind of why I say I do write them down. So you have them at your desk.
Okay.
I would love for that, especially for either a cleanup situation or because like in my situation, I've got 145 different tags.
Right. And
It's-
I just PDF'd, created mailing labels for all my contacts so that I can go back in now and like start without deleting like everything and starting over and just click, click. That'd be great to do that.
I completely agree with you. And it has been recommended that they do that. Just a matter of where does it fall into the development life cycle and how hard is it to do. That's what I don't do. I'm not a developer. I'm not a coder. So I don't imagine what the scale of some of these things are. Although in my mind, that's got to be easy. I don't know. But yeah, that is a frequently asked question. I completely agree with you. So yeah, so building out tags is important. The other thing that I shared with you, so right below tags is custom fields on the left-hand side. Does everybody see that? Custom fields on the left-hand side of your screen. I talked to you about the importance of some of the questions that you ask. Look, when you call somebody, you take notes. But when you take notes or when you call somebody, you talk to somebody, what you realize is you ask a lot of the same questions when you're talking to somebody. Right? Where are they from? Where'd you go to school? What are you buying? When are you buying? What are your interests? Do you have kids? And if you put that information in notes, it's hard to filter through notes to find all that information. So what they've done is they give you the ability to create custom questions, right? There are no default questions outside of what's on the contact card already, but you have the ability to create custom questions. What do I ask people all the time? Well, I gave you an example, right? What was the example that I gave you? What was the example that I gave you?
You ask them their name, their address, phone number. Yeah.
Well, those
that's-
are, right, that's on the contact card. Right, that's given. You got to have that information. I'm saying, I give you some examples of custom questions. When you asking above the basic information, right? Do they own or do they lease? What are their kids' names? What are their kids' birthdays? Right, where are they from? Like, what's their hometown? Where do they want to retire? Where do they live now? Right, what's their favorite candy bar? What's their favorite sports team? What's their interest rate? Do those things matter in a relationship-based business? Sure enough. Track it, organize it. It becomes filterable for you, right? So do what I'm talking about. Let's create one right now. Okay, on the left-hand side, click on custom fields. Okay, top right-hand side, click create custom field and type this in. Do they own or lease? And then right below that, it says field type. Well, field type is basically saying, how would you like to answer this question? If I leave it as a text box, which means I just type in an answer, it gets messy because we're not consistent. You might say own. You might say bought, purchased, inherited, rent, lease, right? Shelters in parents' house, lives in a basement, lives in a car down by the river, right? Whatever those answers might be. We're too creative in our answers. We're not consistent. So be consistent. If the question you're asking has the ability to be answered, then use a drop-down option. Yes or no, own or lease, right? So in your answer here, drop down. Drop down answer 1 is own. Drop down answer 2 is lease. That way, every time you answer this question, you only have 2 answers, own or lease. Doesn't allow you to be creative, right? Don't mess up your database, right? And then you have this make default option here. So some of the questions, like this one, you do want to be defaulted. And I'm going to show you what this looks like here in a minute, but I want you to check that box for this question, okay? Because some questions apply to everybody that you put in your database, but not every question does, right? I referenced earlier, what is the pie choice? Right, and I said apple or pumpkin. Or, you know, if you really got a sweet tooth, pecan, right? So I don't make that a custom default question because not everybody in my world do I give pies to. Okay, so on your contact card, and we'll show you this in a minute, you can either have, hey, show this question all the time for everybody so I can answer it, or have these questions built that I can answer them for some people some of the time. That's the difference between default, okay, custom questions and where they show up. Does that make sense? Some questions apply to everybody, some questions do not, right? Not everybody has kids, so I don't have a do they have kids or kids' names or kids' birth dates as a default question, but they're there that I can answer them should I need it. So this comes up all the time. Do I create a contact record for their kids? I do not, unless they're 18. If they're 18, they get their own contact record because now they can buy a house, right? Now they can become a client. So I don't create contact records for kids that are under 18. If they're over 18, have that education lesson because a lot of times their parents aren't talking about it with them. They're certainly not learning it in school. So get in front of them and start talking about the importance of buying a duplex as soon as they can and having their friends pay their rent. Not enough people are having that conversation either. All right, questions around custom fields. Does this make sense to you? Can you think through your mind a lot of the questions you ask consumers on a regular basis and see how you can apply them and start building those out for you so that you're adding that information, right? I mentioned this, like what is their hometown? Right, that's an option. Where do they want to retire to? Right? If you know these things, when we talk about smart plans, you can share information. Imagine sharing, well, I'll teach that. I'm just going to tell you, if you knew those things, you can share specific information about where they're from, where they live, and where they're going. But you got to ask. And that comes up in conversations. May or may not be the first conversation. It may be a myriad of conversations as you're working on your relationship, right? You guys like that? You like custom fields? You like tags?
Both.
Questions on either of those 2 options? You guys are all now masters. You can teach this. No? All right, okay. So let's go to contacts now. Click the second icon from the top on the left-hand side. Just a second to load. Am I overwhelming you guys? Am I going too fast?
I'm getting hung up on the custom field type. Okay, I did 2 of them. I didn't. Where do you live? And the other one was how many children do you have? Like, where do you want to retire to? These because do I want that to be a text field? Or
Yeah, that would
text
have to-
area?
but you have to limit it, right? Right, that's too vast of an answer. You would have to type that in.
So it would always be a text field if,
Yeah, and you have to think about the answers that could be provided. If I can limit the answers to one or the other, yes, no.
right, and then you always want to make that a default custom field, if I hear that correctly, correct?
No, I said was, if that question applies to everybody, then I make it a default custom field. If it applies to some of the people, then I don't make it a custom field. It's just a matter of
Okay.
where you're gonna find it when you go to answer it, and we're gonna show you that next,
All right,
right? Some, like, not everybody has kids, so I don't need to answer that question for everybody,
right,
right? Not everybody in my world gets a pie, so I don't provide that answer for everybody. But I can add it whenever I need to,
mm-hmm,
and I'm gonna show you how to do that. All right, so I want you on your contacts page. Okay? We're gonna add a contact. Everybody's gonna add a contact right now. Even if you've done it in the past, we're gonna do it right now. Okay, so I want you to click add a contact. And I want you to start adding some people into your database. Okay? What's their name? Right, you see this, and then, right? It's a relationship. Relationship, right? No, it has not to put somebody in here first. Here we go. Todd's name in here. Relationship, typically what I put here, you can add relationships later, but I typically at the top, what I'm only traditionally going to add at this place, because for mail merges, I'm putting spouses. Right, I'm putting who's their spouse, who's their significant other, right? You know, Deborah mentioned doing mail merges. You can do that through here through command. So I'm going to put that significant other here at the top as their spouse, right? Put their name, and what's going to do is going to create a new contact card for that person. Okay, if they have that person in their world. Email, you know, differentiate with personal, work, or other. Phone numbers, straightforward. Okay. Lead source type, where did they come from? Their lead source is subtly different than tags. Okay. Where did they come from? There are 97 different, and the answer to this, Deb, is no. I also can't print this out. I'll beat you to it. Okay. There are 97 different options in here. What you're going to find is a majority of the time, they're going to be SOI, which are, right, sphere of influence. That's the majority of the people. If you're using other systems, right, like if I had lead generating through Facebook, that's in there, right? Right, I have online marketing. Right, just think about, where did they come from? How did this person end up in my world? Right, open house. Those are defaulted in the system. Somebody start to ask a question. I heard somebody start.
Quick question for you. When you go back up to relationship, you saying that your major your first contact, you tag them to their spouse?
Yeah, if they have a spouse or a significant other,
Okay.
I will add them here. There's 23 options here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not putting their son or daughter or their mother here per se.
Right.
Because I don't want to incorporate them if I start doing mail merging and things like that. I'll show you there's a further down, there's like a relationship tree, other people I can add. But right here, this is me, it's how I do it. I keep this to spouse or significant other.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so this list of where do they come from. Now, the other option you have is to the next of that is select from context. So, right, so if they came to me and let's say my friend Bill Nelson referred this to me, I could actually tie it to somebody in my database that referred this relationship to me. Is that valuable, knowing where this contact came from? Right, they could come from lead generation, that's lead source, or because they referred to me by somebody, I could track who they came from. Yes? Perfect. Okay. I can mark them a lead. All lead does is give a little checkbox, a little green circle. It means, hey, they're in my database, but I'm not in relationship with them yet. They're not really a contact. Somebody introduced me, but we haven't talked yet. That's all. It allows me to filter the data. Remember, it's not somebody's going to buy something from me. I think a lot of people mess that up or look at it differently. Messing up's the wrong word. Look at it differently. I look at lead as you're not a contact of mine yet. We're not in a relationship. We haven't talked. That's what a lead is in my world. Okay. And then tags, right? Tag them. Where did they come from? They're from hockey. They're in my hockey community, right? They're not only in hockey, they're with my hockey club, right? And they're an A contact, right? Which means they're one of my advocates. You can have multiple tags, right? Where do they come from? How do you tag them in your world? Now, I can tell you, you can create tags on the fly. I don't recommend you do that. All right, we touched on it. Build a list first. Be consistent. Have that list in front of you, because if you create things on the fly, you make mistakes. You recreate tags that might already exist because you spelt them differently. You called them something different. Right? There's a difference between a contact, notice that's a capital A, and a contact, a lowercase a. It's case sensitive. So you got to protect yourself from yourself. The system's not going to ask you, hey, you already have a capital A contact. Do you want a lower A contact? It doesn't do that. So be careful, right? Don't call it church. And then later I call it the Presbyterian Church of Alney when I mean the same thing. So that's why Deborah asked, can I print these out for consistency's sake? I agree with that, but write them out. Don't overcomplicate them. And don't make too many of them at first. Right? If I have less than 10 people, do you want to get that micro level in your tag? Only you can answer that. There's no limit, right? Only you can answer that. And don't use tags if it's a lead source. That's the other mistake most people will tag these Facebook, Twitter, Zillow, Realtor.com. Those are lead sources. Those aren't necessarily tags, but people commingle those all the time. Just be consistent with what you do. Okay. Then there's an add more information button. Right. Everybody's got multiple phone numbers, multiple emails, so you can add those here. How do they prefer to be communicated with? This doesn't control your communications. It's just you knowing that, hey, I have the person in my database, but there's no real reason for they've asked me not to email them or communicate with them. Doesn't mean I can't, just mean me knowing how do they prefer. Like I've got consumers that will only respond via text. Right. You need to know how does somebody like to communicate with you. That's all. You're just talking to yourself here. It doesn't stop you from doing any of the above. Okay. Home address. Home address is important. When you start typing, what you're going to see is that addresses come here. Okay. Addresses ping to Google Maps. So 98% of all addresses are already in Google Maps, unless it's a new construction that hasn't been filed yet. But you can keep typing. Just make it, see where it says create manually. Eventually I'll have a broad, where you can create the address manually. There we go. Because it doesn't exist in the system. But most of your addresses are already going to exist. And what I want you to do is not type it all the way out. I want you to choose it from a map. The reason you want to choose it from the map, okay, is because it's going to allow us to do some smart plan communication where it's going to ping that address to a map and allow you to send neighborhood activity to that consumer. It's automation, okay? Makes your lives easier. Social media profiles. For mailing's sake, check the same as mailing address. If you're doing mailers, make sure you check that if it's the same. Social media, you can paste their Facebook pages, their Twitter pages, their MySpace pages, believe it or not, that is actually in there. I have not and ever been a MySpace user, but I understand it's still up and functioning. Right? House, Snapchat, Pinterest, right? We're adding more. You don't see TikTok in there yet, but you can add that URL, right? We're going to expand upon that because things are always changing. That's valuable information because especially Facebook, right? If I'm doing a call routine, I'm telling you now, you should hop on their Facebook page before you call them because they share their lives through social media. And you might learn something you didn't know that could help steer some of that conversation. Makes your life easier. And it's just a time saver at this point. If I'm on their contact card and I'm calling them and I click on Facebook, their Facebook page opens up versus me having to go to Facebook and search and find them and look them up. Just a time save. That's all that really is. Does that make sense? All right, about. What do I know about them? Do I know their birthday? Legal name, that filters across the contracts, right? Because my name is David Douglas Donaldson Jr. Okay, 3 V's, that's right, I own it, right? But in my database or in your database, you're probably going to have me as Dave. Right, they work the same with most of your consumers, right? So their legal name. Description, anything else you needed to say about that? Hey, their property is held in a trust. Right, so the legal name might be the trust name. So think of those things. Birthday, home anniversary, additional relationships that we touched on at the top, where I put spouse or significant other at the top. I think at this point in time, you can add 4 additional relationships right now. Mother, son, business owner, sister, sibling, parent, child, sibling of parents, we call those aunts or uncles, grandparent, grandchild, step sibling, step parent, parent-in-law, child-in-law, business partner, partner, or other. It's like 20 of them. So you can add those additional relationships. Where do they work? What's their job title? Why is that important? Do you find out sometimes if people are changing jobs? Do you find out that people got laid off? Do you find out that you've got somebody moving in the area to work for a company that's already in existence and you know people that are there? Can you introduce people? Can you help people find jobs? Sure enough, I've done it, but you can only do it if you know it. That's the relationship business, right? That matters. Then you've got the custom questions, which we just built. This is what they look like. If they are default questions, Terry, if they are default questions, they show up. They're already here. Do they own and release? See the drop-down options, nice and clean. What is their hometown? It's a text box, right? Okay. Where do they want to retire? Okay. Now, those are the custom questions or defaults. Now, if I need any of those other questions that I built that aren't defaulted or showing up on my screen, I can go right here to add a custom question. Add a question. All right, what am I looking for? Children's names. Right? That's how I do that. That's how I track information in my world. And then I create. Pretty straightforward and simple, right? And then what happens is that once I put that person in, I see their contact record. Right? Their health score is at 48%. Right? Because I didn't put a phone number and I didn't put an email address in there. I can go back and edit. I realize I missed something. Update his contact card. You'll see that they're not 88%. Right, so adding more information in there. Oh, screen, there we go. Updates that health score. But that's just gains from the system. If they're in the red, you need to know, you should know more information. If they're in the green, you're doing pretty good. So now I can tell you, you're missing 12 points. I'm missing their Facebook. I'm missing a social media connection. I'm missing where he works. And I realize, hey, I know where Todd works. Todd, about for LifeLock. Same thing if I added a social media page, right? Whatever, you see that's just kind of keeps going up. If I added his birthday, then that would go up too. So the more information you have, you get close to that 100%. That does nothing except knowing that you've got good information about the person. So pretty straightforward on having a contact in the system, adding a contact to the system, tagging them in the system, That's valuable information, right? You see why we spend so much time talking about tags, because it takes a little bit of time, or contacts, because you got to build that information, right? Any questions on creating a tag? Straightforward or not? All right. So you'll notice that I said, hey, when we tagged into a neighborhood, it pinned it to a map. Here's that map. Okay, we're going to talk about smart plans next. Okay, here's their additional contact information, right? Where the company they worked, right? Answers to the questions that I wanted to know. Right. If I had put a spouse in there, that would be here as well, and it would be clickable to their record. Across the right-hand side, across the top, I see these different things. Activity, right? Timeline activity. All my engagement with this consumer tracks. When we touched on that yesterday, if I connected my email, it tracks the email I send to them. If I send them a text message or make up a phone call from my Command mobile app, it tracks it. All right here. Okay. If I create an opportunity, which we're going to do on Thursday, that'll show up. If I add them to a smart plan, which we're going to do now, I'll see what smart plans are running for this consumer. If I have something to do, like I need to call them, create a task. And when do I want to do? Or what time do I want to do it? I'm going to have a task. And that task, where's that task show up? Anybody know? Anybody know?
In your alerts
On my mobile app, right?
on mobile app.
I got to call Todd. Do it from my phone. That's how we tie everything together. Notes are notes. I don't use notes a whole lot, but if you take notes, there's a notes option. And save searches. You can set save search. I'm not going to really dive into this too much, but I just want you to know that's there. I'd love for you guys to play around with this a little bit. Who uses save searches in their local MLS? You guys know how to build a save search in your local MLS? I don't
Yes.
see anybody except for Terry saying yes. I worry about all of you. Right? You set up save searches in your local MLS, typically that go out to your consumers to alert them what's going on in the area where they would like to buy. Yes? You can do that through Command. Command is about 30 minutes behind your local MLS, give or take. Depending on how antiquated your MLS is and how frequently they push out their data. Okay. We're about 30 minutes behind that sync. So you can actually go in here, create a save search, which I'm not going to walk you through today, but if you know, it's straightforward. Location, I can do it on a map, neighborhood, zip code, school zone, customs, price point, type of house, living area. You can create save searches for your consumers, which will push to their email, okay, which pushes to their mobile app. Utilize save searches, people. It's incredibly valuable for you, okay? Who knew that save searches was even in the system? Good, we're all learning something. Awesome. All right, that's contact cards. That's great, valuable information, right? Now let's talk about smart plans over the next half hour, okay? Smart plans are how do you communicate with them? I'm getting somebody's pushing through. Smart plans are notifications. Sometimes it's information that does go out. It might be an email, it might be a text message that's been crafted by you or by somebody else, but you're utilizing it, okay? I want to keep it simple for you guys. And I want you to think of Facebook's birthday plans, okay? I want you to think of a bi-weekly or monthly neighborhood nurture. And I want you to think of a call plan. They're kind of what I call the big three. They're the ones that I kind of want you to start with before you worry about overcomplicating and creating custom format. Okay, that's advanced stuff, but I want you to keep it simple and start simple. Can we all agree to do that? All right. So you'll see my smart plans, which yours is probably blank. And then you see library. Library is the KW ecosystem of smart plans. Okay. So if you go into the library, what you will actually see that you'll see featured, and then you'll see Keller Williams. There are 10 Keller Williams smart plans provided for you to utilize in your business. So I want you all here. Is everybody here right now? On your desktop, is everybody here? Smart plans. Open that up and click on library. I want you there, okay? And what you'll see here, there are 10 Keller Williams smart plans. You scroll across the page and see that they're all there. Okay, I can see all 10. And I can scroll down. Don't be afraid to click things, okay, people? Bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, quarterly call plan, birthday, open house follow-up, home anniversary, monthly neighborhood nurture. Those are all the ones that I've kind of touched on and said, hey, here's where you should start. Okay, so what I want you to do literally is go in here, go to birthday, and click add smart plan. Now it'll rename it my birthday because basically what it's doing is creating a copy and bringing it into your database. So it throws my in front of it because now it belongs to you and you have one in your database. I can't download it because I already have it. So if your download is grayed out, it means you've already downloaded a smart plan or somebody downloaded one for you. Okay, so download the birthday one. Okay, I want you to download the biweekly neighborhood nurture one. And I want you to download the call plan, quarterly call plan. And if you're so inclined, you can download a couple of these others, the open house and home anniversary. I want you to have those in your database so you can start utilizing in your communication with your consumers. Now, there's a much more vast. There are actually 2,000 different smart plans in here because in our ecosystem, we come from a community of sharing.
Hey,
Right? So-
David, could you back
Yes.
up for me? I'm a little slow and I was trying to do it on my computer and then you started rattling off of the neighborhood.
All right, are you in
nurture.
smart plans? Are you in smart plans?
Yeah, I am.
Are you in the library?
Yeah, I'm there, but
Okay.
I'm not
So-
gonna have time to download them as quickly as you.
No,
You said
I'll rerun
neighborhood.
it. I just
Quarterly call,
bi-weekly neighborhood nurture,
and of course, I already had that
quarterly
birthday.
call, bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, quarterly call plan. Okay, birthday, home anniversary, and maybe open house follow-up. Now, some of you may want to use monthly versus bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. Doesn't matter to me. I like the bi-weekly, but they do the same things. The difference is every other week versus once a month. Your choice. Those are the ones that I recommend that you start with in your world. Okay.
Now, I do have other agents and I don't know how I ended up on their database, but
Yeah.
because I've never done business with them. But I always get these monthly newsletters,
Mhm.
which I really like. Where do I find that on here?
That's the monthly neighborhood nurture.
Okay, that's
We're going to touch on that next.
okay. So that says bi-weekly though.
Well, right. There's also, right. I use the bi-weekly, but there's also a monthly.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I use that for communal updates of activity, what's going on in a particular area. But because the marketplace is so hot right now, I do it every other week versus just once a month.
All right.
That's the
Sorry.
only difference between the monthly and the bi-weekly. Just how regular does that information go out? All right. So what I was starting to say is there are 2,000 other plans in here that agents have created. So if you want to go ahead and look up other plans, by all means, see what else is out there. I want you to focus on the ones we provide for you to start, right, before we do anything else. Then when you go back to your smart plans, you'll see them listed. My birthday, my bi-weekly neighborhood nurture, my monthly, right? My home anniversary. You'll see them in your list. You guys all see that? Now, these Keller Williams ones, they're not really editable. The ones at KW Press, there's really nothing to edit, right? So if I show you the birthday plan, birthdays. If you go in and you look at the birthday plan, you hit this editing pencil all the way on the right, or you hit this drop down, kind of tells you what's happening in there. What's the regular, what's the cadence of that communication. You can actually look inside it and say, what are they doing in the birthday plan? Right? I told you, but you can actually see what's in here, right? You'll see that it says the first step is a task. This is basically get a card to put into the mail. That's an action step, right? Command's not going to send a card on your behalf. You got to go get a card and put it in the mail. But the system's going to tell you, get a birthday card, send a handwritten note to whoever this person is, because mail merges will come into play, right? This is part of that smart plan. Then, so this happens 6 days out before their birthday. Then 4 days later, it tells you, call the contact, call them and wish them happy birthday. It does it intentionally the day before their birthday, so you can be first. So it's always gonna say, hey, Terry, I know tomorrow's your birthday, but I wanted to be first. So I just wanted to call and say, hey, I was thinking of you. Right? Is that a nice, sweet little touch? Right? Because that's not happening. Now, there are a couple other ones in here, and I will tell you that I think it's overkill to do all 4 of them, although it gives you 4 options of things to do. Send a card, right? Make a call, put a post on their Facebook page, right? Which you could do, right? And send them a text. I think if you do all 4 things, it's a bit much, but if you did 2 of those things, you would really stand out. 100% you would stand out. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's an example of the birthday plan, okay? Same thing. So if I do a monthly neighborhood nurture or a biweekly neighborhood nurture, okay, what that is going to do, right? That's going to send out an email once a month or every other week, showing them the activity in the neighborhood where they live. Okay. So if you remember now, and I'll show you that too. And then I'm going to show you how to turn these on. All right. I'm just going to show you inside it again. And you'll see that on this one, there's nothing you can even edit on this one because it just runs. All it does is it sends out information at a certain period of time of month that you do dictate when it goes out. But you'll see here, biweekly neighborhood nurture sends out that information on whatever day you said to start it. It waits 14 days and does it again. And this repeats in perpetuity. So every 2 weeks, and it's never going to stop unless they unsubscribe or you turn it off, it'll keep sending them updated information. Now, do understand that neighborhood nurture or biweekly neighborhood nurture is not search. It's all activity in the community, right? I don't say, hey, just send 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. This is all activity in the neighborhood, right? So if there are single family homes at a low end price point, and then there are single family homes at a higher end price point, they're getting that information. If there are condos in that community, they're getting that information. It's a generalized look of what's happening in their community. Safe search is the other thing, right? That's why, so you can get specific on safe search. Monthly neighborhood nurture is just a simple touch where you're pushing out data so they're aware of what's going on in their area. And it's going to show up in either email or in their, right? But actually, that's going to show up in email. Now, the question is, how do I turn those on? Right? How do I turn on a birthday smart plan? How do I turn on a biweekly and monthly neighborhood nurture? Well, I'm glad you asked. Right? Once they're in your database, you can do it here. There's this little add contact button. I'm going to recommend you do it the way I'm going to show you. Okay. That works, but you're limited to the amount of people you can add at any particular time. I like to have the ability to control at a higher level. So again, from your contacts page, right? So we're going to go to your contacts page. Now remember, bi-weekly neighborhood nurtures, if I said they go to emails, what do you have to have in a contact record for them to get it?
Their email address.
There you go. You got to have an email address so they're not going to receive anything, right? So think these things through. And the nice thing is if I actually go to add somebody, right, which we're going to do here, I'll just kind of show you what it would look like. So I like to do everybody, right? You see, I've got 1,100 contacts here. I can actually filter up to 500 contacts at a time. On my right-hand side, most of you probably don't have this many contacts yet. So you might be at 25 people, right? Whatever. I'm going to check the box next to the word name. I'm not going to check individual boxes. I'm going to check them all. Because I want to set everybody that I have an address up for. I'm going to set them up on this plan for a biweekly neighborhood nurture. So I check the box next to the word name. It selects everybody. Then I had this bulk action button. Add to smart plan. And to say, what smart plan do you want to add them to? I want to add them to my biweekly. Select. Now, look what happens. I don't have email addresses for these 3 people. Great. Remove them. I'm not going to add them to a smart plan because nothing's going to happen. So I remove them. And obviously now I also have to take action, right? If I don't have their email address, what do I got to do?
Call them
Thank you.
or
Call
text them.
Call them. Don't hide behind your phone. And then it says, okay, when do you want to start the smart plan? Start today? Or I just want to wait till the 15th or the 1st of the month? Your choice. Okay. And then click confirm. Now, I'm not going to do this because a lot of people are already on it already. It won't add them a second time. Right, they're already there. But that's how I do that. Right. If it was a birthday one, same thing. Right now, I'm missing birthdays for a lot of my people, so I'm not as good as everything I preach, but I have some cleanup to do. Right. But if I have their birthdays, I can add them to the plan. And then that will start 6 days before the birthday. So any plans that I want to run that are in my system, open house, right? Birthday, monthly neighborhood nurture, whatever you want to run, you just set these people up on these things. Very simple concept, but you got to start utilizing the tool. That's why I always tell you to say, hey, put yourself in the system first. Run some tests with yourself. See what the bi-weekly. I'm going to show you a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture here in a second. But see what these things look like. Don't just blindly start sending stuff out if you're not sure what they look like. Right. Take it for a test drive. My son is always my test case. You remember when I said, hey, we added a neighborhood because we had an address, right? So this is right now. This is a community where they grew up. This is a community of where they live, and this is a community of where they're going. Because when I do the monthly neighborhood nurture, I like to come from contribution. So I could keep it simple and just say, hey, you know what? They live in Farmwell Hunt. So let's just send them that information. Okay. And basically what they do is they would receive an email from you with all the information in Farmwell Hunt, and it would look like this. Click this preview button right here. They would receive an email, say, hey, Dave has sent you this information. It would open up and it'll be like a drop-down page. And when they click on it, it would show them their neighborhood. Farmwell Hunt, right? What the locals say, what's the average price point, what houses are for sale, right? And they can see what's going on in that neighborhood. And you're giving them information that they care about every other week or every month, right? That's a nice, simple newsletter that, it's not even a newsletter, it's just an alert that kind of looks like a little bit of a newsletter, the way that they receive it, that kind of drops into their inbox every other month. Now, what I do, where I kind of mentioned this, is that if you know where they're from, okay, and you know where they want to go, in that same email, I could add that information, right? So I could actually go in here, add neighborhood. Let's just go find a map because it's always here and say, hey, you know what? I know that this person was from Gilbert, Arizona. Zoom all the way into Gilbert, Arizona. Select the neighborhood where they were from. Save. So now, in that same email of updating of activity where they currently live, they're getting activity of where they used to live or where they grew up. That's a connection piece, right? So now they're getting email, oh my gosh, look at that. Right? I remember playing in that house, or I remember playing football in that yard, or I remember when Joey fell out of that tree. Like, that's a connection. You're taking it on memory. I can tell you right now, few people are doing this. And you will get calls from your consumers, and your consumers will call their friends because it triggers a call. Like I had one the other day, it was for me personally, where my friend's mom was selling her house after 40 years. So I called my friend, said, hey, I saw that your mom's selling her house. And we just ended up having a conversation, right? And that all stems because you were reaching out to your consumers, but triggered a conversation for somebody for them in their past. Now you can do the same thing and say, hey, I know that's where you're from, but then you also want to retire in Key West. Add that to the record. So now in one email, they get something where they're from, where they live, and where they're going. So twice a month, you're coming and contributing something of value to them. That's pretty cool, right? That all stems from being in a relationship and having conversations with people. All right, so contacts, maximize contacts. Now look, you can also do a bulk import. You do not have to add one contact at a time, right? I sent you guys the spreadsheet yesterday, yes? Okay, you can also download that spreadsheet by hitting this import button. You fill out that spreadsheet, you drag it and you load it here, it'll bring all those people into your database, right? So if you have a bunch of people, we have their names, their emails, their phone numbers, right? If you took action, you got their birthdays from Facebook, or you put their Facebook pages and you upload all that data will load into your system. If you struggle with that, talk to your Market Center tech trainer. They can talk you through the house, right? But pull your data together, get it organized, okay, and we can help you get it in the system. There's even a column there for tags, right? So if you build out your tag list, you can tag them on the import. Right? If you have their addresses, you can add their addresses on the imports, okay? Then all you have to do is select the box that they add the smart plan, because their address will pin them to the map already. Right? If you've got your data in another platform or somewhere else, we can use that CSV file to upload in the system and do some mapping. If you need help with any of that, talk to your Market Center tech trainer. If you don't have a Market Center tech trainer, reach out to me directly and I will help you or put you in touch with somebody who can help. You're not alone. You're not on an island. You've got a support network around you. Now, I have a hard stop at 10:30 today, but today was contacts and smart plans. Do you like what you saw? What did you learn?
Does that upload works with just regular Excel as well too?
CSV file.
See, okay.
So you would take that Excel spreadsheet and just save it as a CSV.
All right, thank you.
Yep. This is where I want you to spend most of your time. I want you to organize your contacts. I want you to bring in your contacts. I want you to put contacts in your system every single day. I want you to meet people. I want you to add them to the smart plans. There's one thing I didn't share with you that I did said I would share with you. So I want you to think about this. So I want you to all open up your phone. Everybody get their phones up right now. And I want you to open up your Command mobile app. All right, it should look like this. The red with the white KW. I want you all to open up your Command mobile app. And if you don't have your Command mobile app, go to your app store and download it. Command mobile app. Your login is the same as your Command login, okay? At the bottom of your page, next to the little house, is a little person. That's your database. Everybody that's in your Command desktop is on your phone in your Command database. Everybody see that? Okay, I want you to click on any person you want. You're going to send somebody a text. Any people that's in your database that you have their phone, you have to have their phone number inside a command or you can't text them, right? I want you to click on somebody, even if it's your spouse, I don't care. Okay. I want you to click on one person in your database. Okay. Have y'all picked somebody? Okay. On the upper right-hand side of that contact card are 3 dots. You see the 3 dots? Click on the 3 dots. The third option, it says edit, then it says save contact the phone, then it says share my KW app link. You all see that? Click on share my KW app link. It's going to ask you, do you want to text them using Twilio, if you have a Twilio account, or would you like to send using this device? Most of you, it's going to be send using this device, which is your device, which means it's going to them from your phone number. Okay? If you have WhatsApp, you could also use WhatsApp because that's incredibly convenient for those that have consumers overseas. A lot of people overseas use WhatsApp. All right, so if you click use this device, which is my personal number, then your text box opens up. Your text box says this: hi, this is David Donaldson. Here's a link to download my KW app for personalized search experience. Then there's a code. If they take action and click on that link, they download your branded search app. Notice I said branded, right? They download your branded search app. That means when they're searching for properties, who are they branded to? They're branded to you. They don't got to search for you. They don't got to go find you. They're branded to you. Now, what I encourage you to do is that to communicate with your advocates in your world, change this text message every time you send it and make it unique in your conversation. Right, Michelle? I see Michelle smiling because we talked about this weekend. Take the extra minute, 2 or 3, and reference the last time you talked to them. Okay? And just say, hey, Terry, this is Dave. I enjoyed our conversation on Monday. I just wanted to make sure that you had my mobile app. You know, it works everywhere you are. Go ahead and download it. Or you could say, hey, Terry, I understand you're going away on vacation. And if you're anything like me, okay, when I'm on vacation, I'm always curious of what the cost of housing is in that particular area. Download my mobile app, and while you're at Duck, you can kind of be looking at the different properties on the beach and kind of see what it would look like to own one of those. The prices will tell you. Or you could say, hey, Terry, I really appreciate everything you do for me and being one of the advocates in my business. I have this new mobile app that I'm utilizing and leveraging. I would love your feedback on it. You mind downloading it and taking it for a test drive and let me know what you think? Guys, don't overcomplicate these things. Keep them simple. You know, reach out, be in communication. You don't want them using Zillow, right? They're gonna be like, I just use Zillow. I'm like, yeah, I know, I get that. But, you know, honestly, this is a way for us to communicate a little bit better. You can contact me directly. You know, you don't have to send me the Zillow links. Zillow is not as updated as you think it is. So just kind of get this world, let me know what you think. Now, the more that your relationship is, the easier it is to have that conversation. If you and I just met, you may or may not down. So you have to spin that differently depending on how you talk to that person, right? Say, come into my open house. It's a great opportunity to get them to down. Hey, you know, thanks for coming in. I know you may have saw that property around the corner. That's not the same as this. Is a different floor plan, different model. But hey, but if you're interested about that, here's my mobile app, and here's that property. They download your mobile app to take a look. And say, hey, as you're driving around, if you're interested in that or anything else, you can contact me directly through this, and you know I can schedule a showing. Make that central to your business. All right. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow, my good friend Kyle Holleran is going to be teaching you guys all about designs and campaigns. So come and be your old talkative selves for Kyle, right? And engage with him. And I'll be back again on Thursday to take you guys through opportunities. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.